a template for creating great restaurant marketing campaigns. I'm James from Marketing for Restaurants, and you're listening to the 111th episode of Secret Sauce, the restaurant marketing podcast.
Some restaurants are quiet, lose money, and the owner works 70 hours a week. Other restaurants are busy, profitable, and the owners work a few hours a day. What's the difference? They have a secret sauce. Join James from Marketing for Restaurants as he helps you come up with your recipe for restaurant success. Your secret sauce.
Hey everyone, good morning, good evening, good whatever the time of day it is that you are listening to the podcast. If you're doing delivery, then hopefully you thought you've got some interesting insights into delivery and how you can make a difference in the profitability of it. If you don't do delivery, hopefully you had a bit of a listen and sort of teased out some of the issues with delivery and had a bit of a think about whether you should or shouldn't be looking at it. I think it's important to have these conversations because there's a lot of people out there who are just driving this dominant narrative about how everyone needs to be using Uber Eats or Deliveroo or something like that. It's simply just not the case. Just recently, Just Eat's financial year results came out and it showed, I think, 25% decrease in the numbers of orders that were coming through to customers who were using Menulog. Now, that is absolutely massive, particularly when you think about the fact that they've started doing their own deliveries, particularly when you think of the number of restaurants using the platform had grown something like 14%. They're losing customers. Customers are ordering about as frequently, but they're spread across more restaurants. So that trend is not the same for everyone, and it's not the same for all of the restaurants that we're seeing out there. There's some big variations in the way that you take your orders, the way that you structure it, and most importantly, the profitability in it. Some people are making a killing, some people are saving a fortune, particularly if they're using Frollo. What we want to talk about today is, I'm going to go back to something that we talked about a few episodes ago. We talked about an example of a great restaurant marketing campaign, and that was an email that was sent out by the marketing team at Dinner by Heston in Melbourne. I thought it was a pretty epic marketing campaign, and I went through all of the reasons why it was pretty epic. Now, they've got probably big budgets, probably a marketing team. How are we going to break this down for you so that you can actually learn from what it was that I didn't want to put this marketing campaign in front of everyone and say, see, if you had a whole heap of people in your marketing team, this is what you could do. What we're going to do is we're going to look at the way that you can achieve all of the things that those guys achieved, because it was pretty epic. But what we want to do is we want to have an epic effect for your restaurant. So if you haven't listened to it, have a listen to the episode. We sort of broke it down. It was around the Lamington Cake, a new product that they'd created. Oh, actually, it was an iteration of their Lamington Cake. There was an epic photo. They sent an email out about it. Obviously, they've got an email database. New menu item linked to an event, part of their unique selling proposition. They told the story about the development of the menu item. There was a call to action. There was another event that they had in there, so that if the main focus of the email, if that was off, if you weren't able to make that event, there was another event for you there to sign up with. And so what we want to do is we want to create that kind of integrated restaurant marketing campaign. We want to create that for you. So as I'm sitting here thinking about this, I'm thinking about our average run-of-the-mill type customer. So a local Indian, Chinese, Thai restaurant, pizza restaurant, someone out there who's got a single location, and the chief marketer is also possibly the chief cook, chief maitre d', chief marketer, chief legal officer, chief HR, chief everything else. So we've got to make sure that A, it's going to be quick and easy to do, B, it's got to be really quick and easy to do. C, funds are going to be tight. So we don't have a lot of time. We don't have a lot of money. How are we going to make an epic marketing campaign out of that? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's get into it. So the first thing that Dinner by Heston's did is that they grew their own email database. So not sure how they do that. They've probably got some software in there to do it. It might be quite expensive software. Some restaurants do use, I've heard of restaurants using Salesforce, which can cost quite the bomb. There's a lot of software out there that you can do. And I know the first thing that probably 90% of our customers are going to be saying, well, we don't have an email database, so what are we going to do? This is all pointless for us. Stop right there, because it's not. I always say if you don't have a database, then you've got to rent a database. The best database out there to rent is Facebook. So if you don't have a database, then we can run with a Facebook ad. So all of the things that we're going to be talking about here, you can actually be doing Facebook marketing with. Now, it's a little bit different because you're going to be hitting new and repeat customers in the same audience, potentially. We'll talk about some of the targeting options that you've got as we sort of go through this. And so for new customers, it needs to be a little bit different because they don't know how epic your restaurant is, and that can make it a bit tricky, and it decreases the effectiveness of your marketing campaign. So if you don't have one, the first thing you want to do, the thing that you need to do today is you need to start building that campaign. We talked probably in the last 2 episodes, we would have talked about how a lot of online booking and online ordering systems won't give you the customer's details. And they'll say, because of privacy concerns. Well, actually, I think that that's bunkum because of the fact that they're generally your customer, not the order or booking aggregator's customer. So you want to have your own booking or online ordering system in place. Online ordering, we talked about it quite a bit, about doing an order direct and save. You really want to grab that email. You want to grab those mobile phone numbers. As many details as you can about the customers. The more you understand your customer, the better. We've got customers who are using Forbes and Frollo. They're building up their database. They're actually getting a look in between who's ordering and who's booking, so you can see both sides of that e-commerce type transaction. That's exciting. It feeds into our restaurant CRM system. The restaurant CRM system, there's still quite a bit of work to do on it. We really want to make this all singing, all dancing and do lots of exciting things. So we've got a pretty extensive roadmap with that. But it definitely allows you to see who your customers are and to send them out an email. You don't need to be overly complicated about the way that you want to do it. And it does meet the basics of being able to collect email addresses and be able to send out an email to them. You can, of course, use something like MailChimp. The thing I like about MailChimp is it's free if you've got less than, I think it's about 2,500 contacts in your email database. So have a think about how you're collecting those contact details and how you're going to send out to those customers. Now, the next thing that they did is they developed a new menu item. That's exciting. So if you haven't developed a new menu item for a while, it's one of those things that I think you're missing out on. People's tastes tend to change over time, and also every new menu item gives you a reason to reach out to customers and get them to come back. You've got a new reason to increase the number of times that customers come back. That's important. Whether it's a new and exciting dish, whether it's gluten-free, whether it's vegetarian. Fun fact, in Australia, they're talking to the Meat and Livestock Australia group, they estimate that 15% of Australians are eating a vegetarian diet. That's a not insignificant number. It's about 1 in 6. So something to really think about when you're building your menu, when you're putting items on, is vegetarian something you want to be going with? How are you going to come up with a new menu item? Well, we've done a few podcasts on innovation and creativity. I think that, and so for what the guys at Dinner by Heston did, it was an iteration of an existing menu item. So they had tricked it up a bit. They'd added a few interesting ingredients. Rum was one of them. I noticed that. That is something that you can do, because when you make that change, you've then got a reason to reach out to your customers and say, hey, we've done something cool. Come and check it out. I was talking to one of our customers in the United States last week, and we were talking about, the menu process and how it works with them. And they actually brought up the butter chicken dumpling that I'd mentioned, a couple of years ago. I still haven't had one. I'm still really keen to try one out. I reckon it'd be completely awesome, almost as awesome as a vindaloo dumpling. That's a really simple just way of looking at the menu creativity component. All you've done is taken 2 items and combined them. So a dumpling and butter chicken. I think it's one of those things, it gives you a story that you can push out to. You could definitely push that out on Facebook. You could definitely push it out to local media about local restaurant creates new menu item and it's super exciting. It's interesting because is it going to be a viral success? Probably not. But for all of those guys who do come up with the viral success, they're the ones who are trying, they're iterating around it. when you scratch below the surface, it's usually not the first time that they've tried, some combining or new techniques or new ingredients to create something that's super viral. It is pretty easy to do. So have a think about the kind of things that you want to do from a menu point of view. Now, of course, whenever we do anything with a menu, whenever we touch it, because your existing menu is completely 100% costed, isn't it? Certainly is, I hope. But you want to cost it out. And then you want to sort of place this in your marketing strategy. So is this the kind of thing that's going to get lots of people to come in and you're not going to make much money out of it, but you'll, upsell them on drinks or cross-sell them to other things, or are they going to bring other people in? Or is it just going to be one of those drop-dead gorgeous menu items that is super cheap to make and you're going to make a fortune out of it? Hopefully it's one of those. They're our favourites. They're the ones that work best, I think, because it throws the most money to your bottom line. But you definitely want to cost it out. Cost it out in money, also cost it out in time. Not only the labour that you've got to do it, but also in that really, really, really precious time, those super busy times. If you've got limited capacity in the kitchen, you don't want something that's going to be clogging up everything and pushing up wait times in a restaurant, particularly if you're trying to turn tables. If you're trying to turn tables 3 times on a Friday night, then you're going to want menu items that can get out to the customer so that they can eat it and they can go so that you can fill that table again. That's how you do it 3 times in a night. And that can make a big difference to your revenue, of course. So something to think about. And there's lots of things to think about in this, lots and lots and lots. But this is how you integrate a really epic marketing campaign. All of these things to think about. You don't have to think about every single one of them, but this is going to be a template that's going to give you lots of ideas. So if you hit off on 7 or 8 of the 10 things that we're going to talk about today, then you're going to be pretty close to actually nailing it really well and having something that's got a really good chance. Nothing's guaranteed. There are no guarantees in life, but really good chance of pretty good chance, depends on what your idea is and how well it's executed, of increasing revenue, which is the big thing that we want to do. Now, next thing that I really liked about their campaign was the fact that it was linked to an event. So if you haven't, then download the episode about your annual marketing plan, how to create an annual marketing plan. This is an important one. So not only have you got your public holidays coming up, you've got your non-holidays like Valentine's Day. No one gets a holiday off for that, but it's still a day where you can make ridiculously good money. Not only that, you've got the International Days of Observance. Check out the show notes there because it's got a link to it. That will take you to all of the days that you've got coming up, from International Beer Day. As I said a little while ago, we just had International Women's Day. All of these things, go through them, pick out 20, 2 or 3 a month, and come up with a menu item for it. International Women's Day, this is what my mum cooked for me. Now I want to cook it for you and say, thank you to all of the mums out there. Easy to do. International Beer Day, that stuff writes itself. I'm not even going to, we all can come up with a marketing plan around International Beer Day. That's easy. Chocolate Day, exactly the same. Plenty of things out there, and you can be as creative as you want, particularly when it comes to your branding. And I think that's the next thing that was really good about them. So Dinner by Heston, their thing is really good epic fine dining, but married up with the concept of what was food like, 100, 200, 500 years ago. Well, not 500 years ago. I don't think they've go back that far, but they've taken recipes from the good old days and then they've fine diningified them. So better ingredients, better technique, obviously. And then they present them to you so that there's a little bit of a story there. What's your brand and how is that going to relate to it? And it's important to have that. So their event, they do this historic thing. They have Australia Day. So they're in Australia. They've taken an Australian recipe and modified it, and that's their story. So it's on brand for them. What is it that makes you unique? And how are you going to get that story out? We've talked about it in the past. If you're the local cuisine-based restaurant, it can be, you are the thing that makes it local. If you're from Sichuan province and you're cooking up epic, super spicy Sichuan food, that is the thing that makes you unique. Your passion for the food that you learned to cook when you were back in China and how you want to share that. So for various people, you'll be providing various products. For people from Sichuan province, you're going to be giving them the food that was from home. I'm not from Sichuan province, but I do like a really hot chili and rabbit. So for me, you're providing me with restaurant tourism, cuisine-based tourism. This is what it's like. This is an authentic Sichuan recipe. Cooked in an authentic way. I've been to Chengdu, so I've eaten lots of really hot food, and it's epic. I can get to go back there. It reminds me of the times I was there. If not, if it's people who like hot food, eminently good opportunity there. And of course, with Sichuan food, you want to be making sure that you're going to be catering for people who don't like hot food, something to really think about. But your unique selling proposition, your branding, how is that going to dovetail into? Now, it might be completely off-brand for you, and you might be able to do that, but I think it's always going to resonate better when there is a story that people are used to, it resonates with them, that's why they're your customer, and here is an extension of that. It's another chapter in the book. Let's all read that chapter. Let's all get on board with it because it's going to be epic. Now, they developed their Lamington Cake, and in the email, there was an epic photo of it. This is so easy to do. And of course, I think, was it 2 or 3 episodes, I rabbited on for quite a while about photography because it's one of our pet peeves. It's really hard to market a restaurant when the photos aren't doing their job of selling the cuisine, making sure that people are super hungry to eat in your restaurant. You can run a competition, you can get your customers to do it, you can get a professional photographer. And it's interesting because on LinkedIn we had a bit of, it might have been Facebook, there was a little bit of argy-bargy between people saying professional or non-professional. You know what? Use a professional photographer because they're going to give you that last 10 or 20% of the photo that really sets your restaurant apart. If you can afford it, if you're going to get the return on investment for it. If you're a local food truck that's struggling to make wages, then probably not. Use your mobile phone. Seriously, use your mobile phone. We are doing more and more photos that have just been taken, and that's like, yep, no worries, I'm going to take a photo of that tonight and I'll send it through to you tomorrow. Boom, that goes up on the website and we are done and dusted and we can move on to the next thing. Really easy to do. And in fact, it's interesting. Every now and then I'll go out to a restaurant that's a customer or something and I'll take a photo, send it to them, and they'll say, can you put that up on the website? Like, yeah, it's not that hard to do. Now, one of the things that I really loved about the email that came out about the Lamington Cake was that they told the story of the development of the menu item. So we want to hear the behind-the-scenes tale of what it is that you do. And I keep on saying this, if you've got mad knife skills, do a video of that. Whatever there is there that helps to tell the story of what it is that you do. Where do you get your produce from? Weave that into the story. How are you going to prepare it? How long do you spend preparing it? If this is going to be a quick, dish of the day kind of thing that you're only going to do intermittently, you put that up on Instagram and Facebook, this is what we're cooking tonight. Tell that story. What is the secret technical aspects that you've got to the recipe that you can share with your loyal followers? They're super interested in that. How are you going to do it? Easy. A camera. You could do video. So we do quite a bit of time lapse. I like time lapse. And it can make something that looks really boring. And you might think people in the kitchen cooking meals, it's pretty boring. Fine, do a time lapse. It looks mad. And it gets so much more engagement than people just wandering around. You can see the progression of the meals coming in, being cooked, then going over the pass, then going out. Very simple to do. I've seen time lapses of people as the restaurant sort of fills up and then quietens down. They're the kind of things that can tell a story about how, we had a really busy night tonight. You can tell that story in 30 seconds, which means that people are going to look at it. People are drawn to it. I don't know what it is about it, but time lapse, but easy to do. Now, let's go kick it up a notch. Let's go make it a little bit harder for you. What about a chef's piece to camera? Easy to do? Well, it's easy to do technically. It scares the crap out of me. I do Facebook Lives and I find them insanely stressful. Very, very, very stressful. But I know that we get engagement with it. People love seeing it. We get so many comments on them. It's one of the things that I think I have to do. It's been a while since I've done one, so I'm going to be doing a few more of them. But you need to be thinking about that sort of stuff. If you're going to be building the brand around your restaurant, FYI, you need to think about sale price though, because it doesn't want to be too closely associated to your restaurant. But if you want to get someone in the team or you to tell that story, today we're going to be cooking up our really special chili burgers. We've got some habanero chilies. These are super hot. They're ridiculously hot. Here's me cutting them up. I'm actually using a glove on it because I don't want to get it in my eye because it would burn my eye out. But come on in. We'd love to cook one up for you. We'd love to see if you're up for the challenge of our super hot chili burger. That's pretty easy to do, and you're building that connection. And the thing I love about this, the thing that's really, really important, is that it's one to many. So you're not having that conversation once, and then because you're in the kitchen cooking burgers, you want to be focused on doing that. You're going to tell this story, and you're going to tell it, and it might be seen by 100 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people. Who knows how well it's going to go? But But you can do that. Imagine if you had to tell 10,000 people that you were cooking chili burgers, you would get no burgers flipped whatsoever. So really important to be able to think about that way that you can use technology to really augment your marketing activities. Next one. So they had a call to action. Now, if you're doing this through Facebook marketing, have a link to your website. If you're doing what they did is they had a book now button on the email. Easy to do, super easy to do. Feed it into your booking system so that you're not paying any money on it. I always think it's really interesting. You get these people, they send out an email, they get 2,000 seats booked, but the sad thing is that they're using a booking system that's charging them $1 a seat. Boo, that just cost you $2,000. Madness. So you want to make sure that you're not getting charged for that because you don't want to tax on your creative genius. That should be completely 100% untaxed. Now, if you're sending that email out, one of the things that I thought was really quite ingenious of them is that they had, the email was about the Lamington Cake, it was about Australia Day, that was what it was. But underneath that, there was the next event that they had coming up, which was a dinner and wine pairing, 13 different wines. It sounded completely epic. If for some reason your first offer is no good, make sure that you've got a second backup there. Now, if you're sending an email out to, let's say, 2,500 people and 10% open it, that's 250 people opening it and 25 people are going to click through. If you've got a second offering down there, you might get an extra 10 purchases. So 10 purchases, multiply average seats 3.5 maybe, depending on what your offer is. That's 35 covers at, say, $50. It's $1,750, is it? I think it's $1,750. That's just for putting that secondary offer in there. That's money for jam, particularly if you're doing that once a month. If you've got that backup in your monthly email and your backup is getting 10 bookings at 3.5 seats and $50, you're bringing in an extra 22,500, something like that. My numbers are probably off. It's $20,000 for you though. On quiet nights where you're not actually bringing in extra staff, 70% of that's probably profit. That's an extra $15,000 in profit. That's an extra few shifts covered by somebody else. It could be extra money in your pocket. It could be the money that you're going to use for your family holiday. Plenty of things to think about there. That was the thing that really showed the sophistication of that marketing campaign. Just that backup. If for some reason I can't make the Australia Day event, or I don't like Lamington Cake, or what's wrong with me, it sounds crazy, or for whatever reason it's not going to work out, they've got that fallback and that fallback will convert. Now, the one thing that I think is really important to make sure that you're doing is make sure you've got a landing page for your offers. So when we talk about the new menu item that you've got on board, in a Facebook post or in an email, it can be hard to really tell the entire story about it. So what you want to do is you want to have a dedicated landing page to that event. That way you can retarget people. So if you've got the Facebook pixel on your website, yeah, I hope you do. People who've gone to that one page, you can then retarget them. Hey, did you forget about booking for this event? You can run now, the number of people who go to that webpage, I mean, let's be realistic. Let's talk real numbers. You're talking in the hundreds, if you're lucky, 1,000 people. So not a lot of people. But the big thing is that because there's not a lot of people there, it means that retargeting effort is going to be very, very low dose. We're probably talking $1 or $2 a day. And so if you're doing something that's, let's say, 60 days, or no, probably that's too far out. Let's go 45 days out so people have got a bit of planning that they can put in, particularly for something big like Valentine's Day. You want to get in ahead of everyone else, but not too far in advance. So you're sending it out 45 days in advance, and I think, wow, this is for a Valentine's Day, for example. So I'm thinking, yeah, that's cool. That's where I'm going to go, but it's 45 days out, so I'm not going to make the booking now. So in my Facebook feed, I say, hey, James, have you forgotten to book for your wife's taking your wife out for Valentine's Day? Now, we know I'm married, so you can actually have that text in there. You know, lots of things that you can do from an interesting retargeting point of view. You know that I've gone to that page because you can target by individual pages. That is something pretty cool. Creating the landing page. So you're all using WordPress, I hope. You're all got Yoast in there. So the SEO tool that we talked about when we talked about SEO, you know, creating your own SEO. Hopefully you have. And you've all, most importantly, you've all got access to your own website. I hope you do. Nothing breaks my heart more than looking at someone's website and you go, wow, you know, your website's really awful. You know, it hasn't been updated for 3 years. It's like, oh yeah, you know, our web developer, he went to Peru or something and we haven't heard from him in the last 3 years, or they charge us every time we want to change. Well, that's crazy bananas. You should be coming up with the epic marketing plans. You should be doing this. And so we talked about the annual marketing plan. You've got to be fighting to get the time and the resources and the skills to be able to do this on a rolling basis. You should be doing one this month, or one or two this month, then continue to do it. Obviously, we're here to help. Particularly with our mentoring, we're finding that's working really well, where we sort of like go through a couple of the iterations of this and then leave you to go out into the big bad world all by yourself with the newfound marketing skills. And you know what? It's not that hard. A lot of it's around the confidence and the processes. So a little bit of training, a little bit of care and attention, a little bit of love, and you guys are good to go off to the races and do your own marketing campaigns. But to be able to do this, I think it's really important to have that landing page. And so you need to have control of the website. You need to be able to go in and create, Valentine's Day 2019 special offer, suburb name. That's you put in the SEO in. You'll have a photo that you've taken, whether it's just some champagne that you've taken out, some roses, whatever it is that you're going to do. You'll create the imagery. We talked about the photos. We talked about the video. You can embed that video into your website really easily. And people say, oh, how hard is it to do that? When you actually show them how to do it, it's like, is that all? It's like, yes, that's all. It's not that hard to be a web developer anymore. I'm not a web developer, but I create a lot of pages for our websites and, for customer websites, because it's not really that difficult, and it's one of those things I don't think web developers' time should be tied up in. So really have a think about what that process is. We're going to include some resources in the show notes so you'll be able to get, just a rough one-pager on this templated process for creating a great restaurant marketing campaign. The thing I love about this is it's all integrated. It's across multiple channels, so Facebook, email, SEO. It's on your website so you can tell the story in a little bit more detail. And when the customer sees it, it presents you in such a great light because of the fact that it's actually a pretty slick and sophisticated marketing campaign. This was the first thing that hit me when I opened that email. It was like, wow, a lot of thought's gone into this. And this is the kind of thing that we're doing for our customers. And I thought this is going to be perfect to share with everyone so that you've really got that ideal of what a great marketing campaign looks like. And then, because once you've done one of these, then it is literally just rinse and repeat. The more customers that you've got in your email database, then the more successful you're going to be. And I keep saying it. If you've got 5,000 people in your email database, it's really easy to write a $25,000 email. It's very difficult if you've got 25 emails in your database, because then you're relying on each and every person to click that link and to spend $1,000. That's very, very hard to do. I wouldn't be banking on that. 5,000 emails, though, a lot easier to do. So that's it. Wow, we really fed this on rapid fire today, didn't we? Hopefully we didn't go too fast. Lots of really cool ideas here, I think. So have a think about it. Have a think about creating new items, particularly thinking about linking it in with your annual marketing plan. Create events around it. We didn't talk about suppliers, but that's obviously one thing that you can do. Have a think about the creative that you're going to come up with, the photos, the imagery. Are you going to use email? Are you going to use Facebook targeting? And how are you going to create that landing page? Lots of things to think about. Hopefully it's given you a little bit of inspiration. Have a crack on by yourself. I don't think restaurant marketing is not rocket science. And the joke is it's a lot more complicated than that. A lot of the time it's not really that complicated. It's just about and it's amazing when you teach these tools to people who've been in the restaurant industry for 20 years, they get super excited because they can see all of the stuff that they've inherently really good at, just natively really understand that, customers are going to love this. Now that they can use it, getting it out with, these e-marketing tools, whether it be email or social media, can be a really powerful and really empowering process because it creates a whole new channel. And, I think it's really important that you be thinking about these sort of things, coming up with the great menu items, but more importantly, telling people out there, because you don't want to have the best restaurant that no one's ever heard of, because that can be really, really, really unprofitable. So that's it. Have a crack at creating a template for a great restaurant marketing campaign on your own. If you need any help, we're here to help you. And hopefully you're going to have a really, really, really busy week. That's it. Bye.
Want more customers for your restaurant, cafe or takeout? Every month, our marketing tools and information are used by thousands of restaurant owners just like you to help them find more customers and turn them into repeat customers. All of our tools and information is designed specifically for restaurant owners. We know you don't have a lot of time to spend marketing or learning complicated procedures, so our tools are quick and easy to use. If you're looking to increase your revenue and profits or want to work less hours, check out marketingforrestaurants.com.